And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to go ahead and jump immediately into draft. Berjaya Dragon's going to be on your blue side, AHQ on the red. For you guys that's just joining us, welcome everybody to the Global's English broadcast. I'm Opal, joined alongside Riz, as well as our special guest, Cabbage. Cabbage, for this draft, this time around, Berjaya, they're the ones that are currently on that cusp, getting eliminated out of playoffs, as well as a run to Worlds. So what do we want to see get changed up from them to have a shot at bringing an AHQ to a Game 5?
Okay, I think the thing here is just to start banning set, take away volley from AHQ, which they actually did now. And yeah, if AHQ pick Ash here, then Berjaya can default back to like Jin. But then again, it just depends on if K2 is still comfortable on that Jin pick. But then again, I think
I want Jinx. I seriously want Jinx. I need to see Jinx from one of these two. I seriously want to see it. I genuinely think it's a beautiful pick here.
K2 is a Jinx player too, so it's not wild if he actually picks Jinx. But then again, right now Berjaya is having a pretty great idea on how they need to be drafting. But it's going to be an AD carry pick here.
We'll see here, though. That is going to be Orianna getting locked in over on the side of AHQ, so that's going to be actually in the hands of Uniboy this time around. Minji not going to have the champion for himself. Does mean we do see from Berjaya, K2 going to be opting back in on to the Jin in that bot lane into that matchup. But a nice little takeaway if they're able to find it here is Minji has been known to be a mid lane echo player back in spring. Could also still be flexed over to Enzo in the jungle.
Yeah, of course, still a very good matchup into that Orianna mid. Typically, you see Jace, Lucian, those kind of things, but of course, Echo can get on top of her, and then, as we mentioned before, very, very difficult to peel him off. I like the Jin pickup into the Ashe. It's not flashy, but it is still a counter pick through and through, and now we should see the support pools get trimmed out. Of course, both of these premium weak side top laners as well still have their Mordekaisers, their Ornns, and even their Jaces still on the table.
I'm interested, though, seeing now this is going to be one of our first Olaf picks coming out from AHQ from Konyu. Cabbage, we're not even see them going very far down into the jungle pool. This has just been one of his kind of niche pocket picks they've always been able to fall back to on the side of AHQ.
Yeah, and I really respect Kongyu Olaf because, well, as you have known, Kongyu is like one of, if not the most, the strongest jungler in PCS, and I think his Olaf is pretty aggressive because it adds up to his style of being the jungler that gets into your jungle and then invade all the camps. Yeah, but with how it developed right now, I think AHQ can just sacrifice their support pick here and then just secure a counter pick for it. But then again,
or just blind Renekton. Yeah. I do actually want to pull it. I think Thresh would be a much better pick here, but hey, we live and learn. I do want to pull it back to that Olaf.
Apparently
pick
they
that
don't
we just
learn.
mentioned though. I think Olaf is insane not only for Kongyue individually, but also if you factor in that Karma would be good here if it's Morgana locked in with the Jin. That also benefits the Olaf a bit. And I think Olaf does kind of result in a game state, like one of the few game states where Orianna actually has a winning mid-jungle 2v2 simply through him hard carrying alongside that injection of stats and move speed.
My question here now, though, is for Berjaya. You're pretty much putting the game here on Aussie, because we have seen what happens when a Quinn gets that counter match up in toward the top lane, but isn't played through. We saw it during the PSG Talon game when Hanabi played it there, too, and they're also opting into this Kench here with Briz. I heard some confusion in your voice.
Lulu is what I said, not Delulu question mark, rather I say Lulu question mark, because Lulu would be fantastic here. You pair Lulu with Olaf, beautiful, speed him up, hold him up, and it trashes Tahm Kench in the 1v1, but instead they opt into a losing bot lane matchup. Why? Why would you do that? Cabbage? Please, explain. Why Nautilus over Lulu?
Well, actually, it also bewilders me. Like, why would they pick Tom Kinch here. But then again, they also pick Nautilus to Tom Kinch, which is a losing matchup for AHQ2. So, well, I just feels like from AHQs they just feels that they don't have enough engage, and then they just feels like, yeah, Nautilus would just add up the engage in case of like Ash miss her R or like Oriana miss her out. But then again,
you shouldn't be looking for an engage if either of those miss anyway, because that is your team fighting essentially. Just there.
Yeah, true.
Karma would have been fantastic, pushing Tom Kent, speed up Olaf, mwah, beautiful. Lulu as well, fantastic. I'm just really unhappy with how the supports have rounded out these drafts, especially when you consider these were the picks that were saved for last rotation. These were the ones where you were trying to bait out a blind pick from the enemy, and these were kind of the big priorities at the end of the day.
And I think that's kind of something we're seeing reoccurring here from AHQ in particular. Coaching staff, the drafts here have been, I don't want to say spicy because they haven't been too spicy. If anything, they've been rather a little bit frustrating from what we have been gathered. And this time around, though, Berjaya Dragons are the ones that say, okay, you know what? You're going to blind the Renekton. We are going to then counter with the Quinn. And this time, we're going to show you how to play via your top side. And they've been able to show it with Ozzy. He has been one of those core members that when he does get ahead, Berjaya Dragons are able to close out matches. We'll see if they can do it here. Again, do or die for Berjaya Dragons. 1-2 currently the series score. Looking to force Game 5 up against AHQ. They lose here, though. Their hopes, their dreams at making it to Worlds 2020 come to a close, and AHQ move on to that marquee matchup against Taipei J-Team as we load on into the Rift for our 4th game of the night.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And here we are, Game 4. Berjaya Dragons, this time around, are the ones that say, all right, you know what, you're going to blind the Renekton. We're going to bring out the big Quinn gun up in top lane. Ozzy, a lot on his plate this time around. And we'll truly see whether or not this team can actually do it, can actually work through the top side of the map and try and bring home a victory up against our second-seeded team in the PCS Summer Split.
And this is where I'm super hopeful to see Kongyue actually pop off on the Olaf. We saw him last game pentakill on the Echo that we kind of neglected to mention back in Champ Select. This guy is big. He is riding that momentum. Can he use it to snowball his top laner? Because this team has been so poor in the way they've played through Ziv so far.
Yeah, and for, like we mentioned when we were talking to Cabbage, a lot of respect being shown over to Kongyue, especially on something like the Olaf that can be hyper-aggressive, so we'll see whether or not that is going to be the case as he's going to go ahead and start up the Raptors.
Yeah, and similarly, a lot of the strength of this Renekton is how strong he is in isolation, how he can lose gracefully or even etch out a win. Quinn is not a matchup where he can do either of those things, however, and we need to see AHQ on full damage control when it comes to Ziv's lane. Speaking of damage control though, AHQ need to be super careful about how much room to breathe they're giving to Lulu when it comes to getting control of bot lane brushes, because tongue lashes are a thing. Control of the melee matchup because of how Tahm Kench works is a thing, and it does mean Berjaya have the edge on the bottom half of the map.
And the other thing you have to note here too is for AHQ, they did get spotted out on their invade, so they pretty much committed to trying to just, again, clear out the bot side of the jungle, and that lives Ziv on this island for the first clear, so he has to play super passively, doesn't want to have to try and give over a kill over to Enzo if he came on by to help out, but already seeing that invade as he is spotted out on a ward.
Yeah, definitely could have seen a little bit of action bot side, but A, Kongyue is out of mana, and B, you're ganking a Tahm Kench. Good luck. Genuinely, ball is in AHQ's court still to make plays in that early game. Renekton, Olaf, notorious for the fact they fall off a cliff in terms of relevancy come the mid to late stages. Meanwhile, you have that infinite scaling of the Echo mid. The Jhin has a fairly okay mid game. Volibear becomes unkillable, Tahm Kench unlocks the map, and Quinn is a proficient split pusher through and through. AHQ, they have the team fight, they have the early skirmishes, but they lose out in every other scenario.
And again, it's just giving full control over toward the top side of the map as Enzo is able to get the invade off, and they also get ward coverage deep into Kongyu's jungle. It pretty much means Ozzy gets to be as safe as possible, and even pings coming up toward that top lane. It looks like Civ is going to be dove here quite shortly. Sitting below a third of his health is prime target here for Enzo.
And a small edge on that is the AHQ spot lane get full control of this lane simply because they've split the map and Enzo is top. But because Enzo is top, Ziv may die. His recall interrupted.
Wow, that's going to be another TP being used here on the side of Berjaya Dragons as, again, you saw Ziv at least trying to jump in and try and claim the kill on Ozzy. It's not going to happen, though. And there you go, first blood going on over to Enzo.
Yeah, fairly unfortunate that the kill did go into the pockets of the Volibear, but end of the day, more than happy with how that one played out. And that commitment came out before the Drake had spawned, so there's not any real recourse from the side of Kongyue. Yes, the bot wave crashes, but you can't commit to this dive. It's a Tahm Kench.
And at this point, they've kind of resorted back to what we have seen out of AHQ when Civ is put up into this kind of style of matchup where he's put onto weak side. We do see, though, fight bringing out on the side of AHQ as well as Berjaya, but Delulu able to eat up Ysera. Ysera gets taken on down. Uniboy not able to get the shield off in time. And that's another kill going on over to Berjaya.
And Minji with that quick rotation bot. He went mid, cleared out mid. He recalled, TP top, dove top, and then comes down bot lane. Yes, Uniboy follows with a TP, but he's a level 5 Orianna. What the hell is he gonna do? The answer is not a whole lot of anything, as AHQ on full damage control. Berjaya again commanding lead in the early game.
And there we are. We'll see whether or not, though, they can continue up that pressure. As you know what, Ziv, he's just dancing in, wants a little bit of that extra minion, as we'll take a look back here. Kanye is able to get himself back to safety with that flash, but unfortunately Ysera left out alone. Do note, though, that AHQ, even with that action on the bot side of the map not going in their favor, they are able to secure the first dragon of the game.
Incredibly clean skirmishing coming out from the side of Berjaya. A lot of the strength of this comp from HQ in the early skirmishes that we said were between Renekton, who's on his own top side, and Olaf, who had to flash out of that fight immediately. It meant that the cooldown reliant, level 6 reliant Orianna, Ashe, Nautilus couldn't do anything but just fall in the face of Berjaya's onslaught. However, as you mentioned, Drake can pocket for HQ. It's not the end of the world, but it is something they'll be more than happy to take back.
And now is kind of that period where Civ gets to be pretty sad here. You also got a Vamp Scepter completed here for Ozzy, so he shouldn't be pretty much taking down any point in this lane unless Ziv is able to flash forward and close the gap. But even then, it's going to be a cleanse on this Quinn to keep her safe. We'll do see if Enzo wishes to make an appearance, though. Mid, still waiting on his ultimate, though, on that Volibear.
Ooh, speaking of mid, though, by the way, because Minji's been so focused on pressuring out the side lanes, to his credit, it has worked out. Down 20 CS, gonna grow that to about 24, 25 off of this clear as well. And it does mean Uniboy up about 4 waves, meaning this Orianna is scaling fairly formidably towards her mid-game spike as a team fighter and as a potential team fight defining carry.
So we'll see whether or not Uniboy is going to be able to do just that, as, again, Civ just underneath his tower will at least be able to take some solace that he hasn't lost out on a plate. But again, AHQ putting all this pressure on the bot side of the map. They say we are conceding the top side entirely. We want to try and continue to make plays, but we do see Enzo nearby looking to actually turn this elsewhere. Ysera now being caught out toward the side. Minji also looking
Uniboy's
for a roam. Uniboy doesn't have any mana at this point. He's going to get caught out by the stun, and now Ysera going to get taken down. 3-man shockwave, though, comes out from Uniboy. Unfortunately for him, Minji is fully online still with that Echo at this point, able to get that base damage through, and Wako forced to flash out. The health bars are low, but there is no opportunity for a cleanup, and guess who's inbound? It's that Harrier of a Quinn coming on over. Wako gets taken out, and Berjaya are able to find 5 back-to-back kills, making it 6 with the kill on Kongya, as now AHQ in dire.
absolute danger for the side of HQ now, as they do get picked off one by one. This is where the Berjaya comp does thrive. Find a pick with the Jin W, find a pick with the Echo Flank, find a pick with the Quinn cleanup. It's beautiful. Yes, the Shockwave was nice. Yes, the engage looked okay for HQ, but in this scattered up fight, when you can't layer the big cooldowns, when you can't get those big defining team fights, you just crumble in the face of Berjaya's mobility, Berjaya's cleanup potential, and Berjaya's sheer damage.
And this is now the big issue. You let this early game kind of spiral out of control. AHQ, they're the ones that wanted to get as much priority into the bot side jungle as they could on the side of Berjaya, but now it has completely backfired, and the fact now that Ozzy's been able to pick up 2 kills off the tail end of this fight spells disaster for Civ. Civ will not be able to do a single thing in this lane entirely now.
And already, even if this game ends up being thrown away by Berjaya, you have to consider it as being them overperforming relative to everybody's expectations on the day. They look good. They look somewhat clean, at least during the early game, but the actual test will be, can they transition this into a mid-game close? Can they use their lead and snowball off of it with a quick and easy Rift Herald take? It looks to be the case.
And you saw there, Rift Herald's going to be secured, so Shelly on board for Berjaya. Kongyu was looking for a play in mid, but again, it's pretty hard for Uniboy to really do anything up against Minji as long as the Echo can keep the distance. And oh boy, HQ once again trying to make this play. Delulu and K2, though, are going to back off, so at least there, HQ are able to get some turret plating for themselves, but look again toward top lane, Enzo making his second appearance into Civ's lane.
Have you considered not diving the Tom Kench lane, HQ? Pressure out anybody else, just not that one that literally exists to soak everything. Curtain call to clear the wave. What is this?
And there you go. Shelly's going to get taken down. Going to be able to take down a turret brick. There you go. First brick gold going on over to Berjaya. Civ, I've seen this literally once before where he kind of just has to watch his tower get hit upon once again, and that's likely going to be the second tier tower. That's more gold just getting funneled into the Quinn. AHQ are not dealing with this properly. Bot side is at least going in their favor, at the very least getting these dragons, but at some point Ozzy, once he's unlocked from this side lane, is going to be an absolute menace.
And as we said, AHQ, they have superior team fight around their big cooldowns, but Berjaya thrive in chaos. They can play the map, they can play the prolonged skirmishes, they can fight on their own terms, and they can run away with it if given the opportunity. They are massive right now, and they are snowballing that lead dramatically.
You saw there from Ozzy, opting not to stay and finish off his call, had 2 stacks remaining. Wanted to go back to base right away, but that is going to be the Bork now completed for the Quinn. And again, just goes back up into that side lane. Civ, at least, you give it to Civ here. He has been able to kind of keep himself even on CS, which is rather impressive and something that Civ has been able to do time and time again when he goes into a weak side matchup. But the issue becomes now he cannot step forward in this lane, and Ozzy, even using the cleanse haphazardly, Civ needs to turn it back, but it's not going to happen. Can't get that stun. And there you are. Ozzy going to be able to find the solo kill.
Actually incredibly close despite the discrepancy in terms of items. Just again, lending a lot of credit to Renekton's early game, and when Quinn is in melee range of him, of course, it's a little dicey, but dicey is where Ozzy and the rest of Berjaya do thrive, and it's where that all-in really did ring true. But look at your live feed, Olaf, Kongyue getting all-in himself.
You do see, though, he gets him back to safety, it looks like, but Civ close in this matchup, unfortunately for him. When Ozzy has any form of cleanse available, it's going to be rather difficult for that Renekton to actually get the all-in. And there we are, still a 4,000 gold lead, and once again, AHQ are the ones that say we're just going to try and take what we can on the bot side of the map, but Enzo's already cleared out the jungle.
Yeah, this game has just been AHQ splitting the map in favor of playing for bot side. And yet again, you can't draft Renekton and do that time and time again. We're seeing them pick an early game dependent champion, leaving him hanging out to dry, and then being like, oh god, suddenly it's a 4v5. How has this happened? Well, let me tell you, it's the AHQ early game special. Can they actually contest these fights? Probably not, until we see 2 items at least for Orianna, for Ashe, for Uniboy and Wako, and then maybe AHQ do tag back, but it's Berjaya's job to close the game, to pressure their lead, so that never even has a chance of happening. Up 5k gold at the 13-minute mark.
And you kind of have to ask, coaching staff from AHQ, Green Tea and Co., why is this consistently what is being chosen by AHQ? Almost every loss we have seen in playoffs, I believe the 2 of them against PSG were with a Renekton up in that top lane, where Civ couldn't do anything. They don't play via the champion. They have shown this multiple times throughout the damn season, not even just summer. We saw it back in spring, and this was a common reoccurrence for AHQ. And you can tell we're getting a little bit heated because this is supposed to be our 2nd seed team. This is supposed to be what is considered one of our top teams to go represent the region come an international tournament like Worlds. And if they keep trying to run stuff like this, even if they make it through this series, they have to worry about that first. They will get heavily exploited at Worlds.
So you're saying these drafts from Green Tea are leaving a bitter taste in your mouth?
Yes. And I don't even drink
Get it?
tea.
'Cause Green Tea is...
I don't even.
Yeah.
That's how meta this has gone, all right?
All right.
Wow.
Really
Go ahead.
disappointing execution. I think it just, time and time again, even if AHQ walk away with this game, it does... like, AHQ back in spring, as Cabbage did note, this is not them playing to that identity that they shaped for themselves. They're not playing for topside, they're not playing for the early game, and they're instead just getting exposed by our 8th place seed. Granted, Berjaya certainly not playing like they were in the regular split, but at the same time, this is not the ideal sequence of events, considering AHQ, as you mentioned, is a team we expected to represent our region at the World Championship.
Poor Civ, he just kind of has to go into his side lane and look a bit sad overall. He's laughing. I'm not laughing, Civ. I don't think the team's laughing right now. But again, we have seen AHQ pull off victories through superior team fighting. Berjaya have looked rather confident, though. And that's kind of the issue so far. If this was Berjaya coming into this series, I'd still be like, okay, AHQ, even though they're behind by about, 4,000 gold, they got really good team fights. But this series has kind of changed my mind, and it's shown to me that they are not as clean as they once were.
All you can do is laugh, honestly, when you're playing Renekton left alone top lane while the rest of your team does fall.
And Ysera got caught out there. In comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Wako, how do you miss a standing still Jhin? In comes that Kench to eat him back up, and there you go. Even with K2 being in an awful position for his curtain call, he does not get caught out. And now Minji going to jump on over the wall on top of Ysera. Going to get knocked up, though. Got to be careful himself. Ziv is rejoined in onto the fight. Berjaya are not able to find a kill.
Yeah, really good attempt at finding a pick there, but unfortunately it turns into a big team fight, and that is, of course, not a scenario that Berjaya are comfortable taking. HQ making play for the 3rd Drake of the game, looking to push up forward, but here's a pick.
He ends up bringing Minji closer to his parallel convergence. Luckily for him, the Chrono Break has to be used. Enzo might get caught out here. Do we actually see that Shockwave come out from Uniboy? Forces out the flash from Enzo. And opportunities for Berjaya. It feels like, again, they could take these fights, but AHQ are standing their ground. Teleport comes back out from Minji. Wants to rejoin in on the fight. Parallel convergence is going to be put in. Cuts the river in half. Q lands out from the Jhin, and that's going to force the back coming out from the side of Berjaya, as at that point, Enzo cannot contest this Drake any longer.
Enzo does have his R, so if something does happen, AHQ can make a play for it. But AHQ, with that Shockwave still available for them, with Ragnarok still in the pocket as well, Ashe arrow up soon. Could they go for the skirmish time point? Yes!
Again, it's a dance around this bloody Drake, and if HQ are able to secure this third dragon, they get put towards Soul Point at about 23 minutes. But again, it's been this continuous dance. Ysera almost gets caught out by the side as Ozzy would to try and set up a possible play. In comes Enzo, but he's too late to the party. In comes the ensuing fight though. Minji into that back line, not able to find the kill, and he gets shut down as Civ is finally on the board for AHQ, where they find their first kill at 18 minutes.
K2's empty mana bar just goes to show that the Jhin had no business being in that fight. There, you just gracefully give up that Drake and rotate for a mid after a reset. Instead, Berjaya, they overstay, try to minimalize their losses, and end up throwing a decent chunk of their lead away into the waiting arms of AHQ. Good play by AHQ to pull the Drake into the bush, keep it out of the range of Enzo, and then it is just smooth sailing from there on out. Ysera rejoins the fight. Ysera finds his pick onto Minji, and Nautilus is so good into Echo because you just right-click him and he cannot press R.
And like that, AHQ have found a situation where they now can get Ocean Soul on the next dragon spawn at about 23 minutes. For them, it gives them that extra regen, maybe makes it so they can survive these fights a little bit longer, especially around those kind of dances that we just saw. Very much an opportunity for them to try and take back this game. Now up to Berjaya, where they were able to find this early advantage. Can they actually try and force more? AHQ, though, going to bring in the teleport. 5 members of this red side now in the river. Uniboy with a little bit of speed. Minji gets himself back over the wall to safety. Looks like, though, Shelly is going to go in favor of AHQ.
Definitely do now see this Shelly being picked up. Rift Herald going to help open up that tier 1. As we said, no real case for the Baron power play till you've taken that tier 1 mid. And with this commitment from AHQ, we should see this go down, and then they can look to set up the potential picks between Nautilus, Ashe, Orianna. Just go for the 5v5s and hopefully turn the game around in a mid game while your Olaf and Renekton are still relevant.
Oh no. Civ's actually lucky. There was a flash available for Ozzy as well as the cleanse, instead opting to try and jump back with the Harrier, realizing that there is a Nautilus looking to try and flank over toward the side. Meanwhile, though, that does open up the opportunity for Berjaya to at least take control of the Scuttle. Nothing really else left available to them as we take a look at that gold ranking, and that is still a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Ozzy over Uniboy in comparison.
Oh, Quinn.
Quinn does fun things, doesn't she?
What a champion.
So fun, interactive
Also,
gameplay.
It's been a while since I've had to pull up a champion's kit on my second screen to read what the spells are called, by the way. It's been quite some time since we've seen the Quinn. Once from Hanabi during the regular split, and we all know how that one went. But besides that, yeah, not really a thing, but this game showing you why she is the Renekton counterpick that's in the back of the minds of everyone when we do see the Blind Crocodile.
You also got to note, too, Ozzy was able to pick up his second item, went into the Phantom Dancer, so that 1v1 is pretty lethal up against Civ, and also has picked up a little bit extra crit chance into the kit, so looking to just get that extra little bit of damage, and, well, at least give it to Civ. Even though he has been forced out of lane multiple times, he is only down by 15 CS. That is rather remarkable compared to what we have seen of the Renekton matchup into the Quinn, like we saw earlier during the summer split.
Essentially, the Renekton is just functioning as a frontline for the carries in the team fights now. It's why he went Cleaver to help him close the distance as well, rather than the Blade for the additional trading in the 1v1, because when are you ever going to find the 1v1 against Ozzy? Probably not ever. Yeah, speaking of 1v1s, this is a 4v1 as they try to collapse on the Quinn, who is more than happy just to fly away.
This is going to allow AHQ, though, if they wish to try and set up some vision. 45 seconds until the 4th dragon of the game spawns. And for AHQ, if they're able to secure it, Ocean Soul would be theirs. Do note, though, that Minji's gone over toward the side lane, is looking to try and pressure up toward that first inhibitor on the top side of the map. It does have teleport if he wants to rejoin in the fight. Civ is going to try and answer him while he can. 30 seconds now on Ocean Drake.
Ocean Drake now spawning, and it does mean Ocean Soul will be the power play for AHQ. Can they get the steal on the side of Berjaya? Maybe prioritize single camp clear or a pick.
In comes the teleport, going to be rejoining in. Wako able to get his ultimate off in time. In comes the rest of AHQ. Parallel conversion.
Minji
lands in onto Ysera. Ysera going down low. Final bullet in, locked and loaded from this current call. Not going to be able to land, though, onto the Nautilus. And Ysera, once again, gets caught out before the start of the fight, and that is one of your main front lines on the side of AHQ. Civ, though, still at full health. Wako still at full health. You do see Berjaya are able to leash back this dragon. Kongya does have Ragnarok available. In comes that Shockwave, and Uniboy completely fans in. Enzo able to get the smite back at HQ. They will not be able to secure the dragon. It does reset. HQ, though, still trying to fight this. Parallel convergence, though, into a choke point. Finds it onto three members, and there you go. Minji able to find his target. Civ gets taken down. It's a double kill for the Echo.
The Echo pop off yet again. Doesn't matter if it's in the jungle, doesn't matter if it's in AHQ's pocket, doesn't matter if it's in the mid lane for Berjaya. This champion finds his mark, and it will find the Baron for Berjaya.
And here you go, Uniboy. Heroes play, but guess what? You don't have a Shockwave. This pressure alone, though, is enough to prevent Berjaya Dragons from actually committing toward the Baron as Kongya is back up. Let's take another look at how that fight actually transpired with the engage onto Ysera.
So two things here. Berjaya needed the pick. They had to opt for it because they have the inferior 5v5 strictly at this point, short of a beautiful Echo flank, which eventually does come through. They also can't take the straight up smite fight because Olaf E, true damage plus smite, does beat out the Volibear smite fight at pretty much any stage. And yeah, essentially this is a really, really split engagement. Nautilus already in base, Quinn opting for a flank, and then one big Volibear engage to route this team upwards into the parallel convergence. It all lines up beautifully in favor of Berjaya.
Yeah, Minji able to land that 3-man stun off this Echo. Uniboy we saw earlier not able to do much with that Shockwave earlier during the fight, and those health bars, though, half would have been close if they were able to actually land that ultimate ability. Might have been the turnaround AHQ we're looking for, but now game's starting to look a bit dire here for AHQ. They had that win condition in their pocket possibly if they were able to pick up that next dragon, but now have to wait 3 minutes, and we saw Berjaya Dragons no longer kind of forced to the wall, have the confidence to try and take these fights, and it's going to come down to a miracle play, I feel like, from AHQ or miscommunication from Berjaya Dragons.
Yeah, and it's incredibly difficult to stand out on the Echo after the pentakill we saw in the previous game, and yet Minji going a long way towards actually making it look good here. You need to see more of that backline access, more of those flanks, more of those scattered, chaotic fights, because AHQ, as we said, time and time again, they will win out in the straight up 5v5, short of another flub Shockwave from Uniboy. And Berjaya, if they're going to take this game into their own hands, if they're not going to just wait for AHQ to mess up, they need to be proactive with the flanks, with the engages, with the denials, and keep the ball rolling.
So a little bit of downtime here at the very least for AHQ. As at this point, Berjaya are just looking to try and set up waves once more. Still not able to really do much outside of these objective fights that AHQ are trying to force, so about 90 seconds until we get that next dragon. We'll see whether or not AHQ can try and get a better position, if they can try and burn that down, or if Berjaya are going to once again just walk in through that front door. Also to note, your third item's coming online. Infinity Edge now completed for Ozzy. He does a wicked ton of damage. He also got Lich Bane completed there by Minji, as well as working into his needlessly large rod item. And interesting enough, here we have double Black Cleaver coming out from AHQ, as Kongya needs a little bit of health, but I almost rather would have seen a full defense item come out of this Olaf instead.
Yeah, full tank Olaf, though, going to fall off that little bit harder than the AD-oriented kind. And honestly, at this point, you're banking on a mid-game, because if it goes to late, it's a little rough, because then that's where Echo starts literally 3-tapping your carries. He did get a pentakill last game, but it's actually quite easy to get pentakills on Echo because he does execute from 100-0 more often than not. Later on, Q goes wide, but can this all-in come through? No. Oof.
Ozzy's been pretty hesitant to actually go for the all-in there. We do see Tom Kench going to bring over K2 as Delulu.
Ambitious.
They were looking for a play. I give
Why'd
him
you
that.
flank with the gin in your mouth, by the way? that is ambitious.
Delulu likes to bring
Carry
the
him
aggression.
into the back line.
The aggression.
Carry him with you.
He wishes to bring out the aggression within his teammates. This now, though, AHQ having to deal with this Quinn onto the top side of the map. Ziv can't really do anything. He's at least trying to clear out the wave while he can, as he'll do his best. Do see, though, AHQ are the ones to set up for this. One thing to note is Ozzy does not have teleport. So if the call comes out from AHQ to try and go for this Drake with a man advantage in the form of Ziv, they will likely lose their inhibitor and inhibitor tower. Current call being used, Minji on a flank once more. Uniboy does have Shockwave available. They also have 2 smites on the side of AHQ. We do see Ziv being left to his own devices, now going to teleport into the fight. But guess what? Ozzy is already roaming down. You can tell on your mini-map now entering your screen. A 2-man knockup. Minji gets caught out toward the side. Waka was able to kite back, and they take down the Echo. Uniboy going down low, but guess what? The Orianna survives. Enzo low enough on this volley bear. And I think AHQ may have been able to find an opportunity here as they are able to keep themselves safe. K2, though, flashing on forward, able to find the kills. They take down Uniboy. Flash out comes out, though, from Ysera on top of the Kench, and they're able to take down Delulu. Now a 3v4 in favor of AHQ, but they decide to go back toward this dragon, try and secure the soul.
Credit to Ziv there, stunning the Echo before he's not out, and the fight is not over yet!
K2 grenade lands in. AHQ, they're trying to do what they can. They're able to take down the dragon, but at what cost? The carries jump forward. In comes that stopwatch, though, from Ozzy. He'll get taken on down. The shutdown for Kongya, and guess what? This damn Olaf is big enough to finally find the fight for AHQ. They take down all 5 members of Berjaya Dragons over the course of an elongated team fight, and the soul goes in favor of AHQ as well.
Minji gets locked down by Ziv. The Echo cannot ult out. The grey health from the Tom Kench went the same direction as well. Ziv went big here, but AHQ are the ones that win out with that. Look at Minji. Wako does not get to play this fight, and yet the Renekton makes the hero play. Ozzy doesn't get the chance to join the fight because he's zoned out. Him and the Echo were supposed to go on an adventure. We're supposed to 2v3, split the fight, win the fight, do everything for Berjaya, and yet they get routed. One drops, another drops, and it's all the way down. It's like bowling pins. You knock one down, well, I guess it's more like dominoes. You hit one, you get all the others. Even so, just AHQ playing that about as well as they could have. Berjaya, oh, not another throw, please.
And limit testing, you could say, on the side of AHQ helps net them Ocean Soul and Berjaya Dragons when they were the ones that had full control of this game, full agency to decide what they wanted to do on this map. AHQ are somehow able to weather this storm. And Berjaya, they were so close to actually forcing this series to game 5. There is still the opportunity to do so. Current call going to come out. Final shot in his pocket, not going to actually land. Baron goes in favor of AHQ, but they need to actually try and take a fight in their favor. Minji into the back line, not able to find the damage. Finally takes down the Olaf. Enzo, Ozzy, the rest of the team separated from the fight. Ysera finds the dredge line onto the Quinn. Ozzy, though, able to get himself back to safety, and Ziv online, able to get the shielding from the Orianna, is now able to be a nuisance during these team fights. Baron in hand now for AHQ.
And with some armor purchases from the side of AHQ, suddenly this comp does no damage. They have AD top, AD jungle, AD marksman, and this Echo, yes, well, he can pop off, blew everything, shutting down that Olaf. You need to get better positioning. You need these scattered, chaotic fights, because the 5v5 is so easy for AHQ to brute force here. Look at this. Look at that. Minji finds his way in, gets instantly popped, and it's just smooth sailing from here on out for AHQ. Berjaya, they were in full control. Now, though, hoping for a miracle.
And you saw their Aussie and K2. Unfortunately, they get separated from their team, and they have to try and kite back, and things get a little bit ugly. Unless Minji is able to find a 2-man, 3-man parallel convergence on this Echo, it is rather difficult for them to lock down any of these key carries on the side of AHQ. And these 5v5s just get brute force. We do see, though, Aussie getting a little bit angry himself, wants to try and jump in onto Ziv, but Ziv, he's got Randuins, he's got Thornmail. This is a beefy Crocodile that, unfortunately, the Quinn can't nail down anymore.
Yeah, and with that Elder Dragon coming up in 2 minutes 30, it feels like neutral objectives have been in full control of AHQ so far this game. Be it that initial Drake, be it all of the ones in between that and the Soul. It is just a party for the side of AHQ now, banking on Kongyue putting up big performances yet again despite his uninspiring scoreline, and banking on the superior team fighting that their composition is presenting them with.
See, the relentless push still continues on toward the top side of the map. Unfortunately, Aussie has yet to actually knock down this tower, and unfortunately, without that pressure, that side lane pressure being consistent, it's allowed AHQ to find their opening. Civ also has teleport up and available if a fight were to break out on the bot side of the map. Its second tier tower now going to be taken here by Wako and Unicorn.
The AHQ bot side now fully committing while Ziv is on wave clear duty, holding down RC in the top lane as we do have the re-engage potentially coming out.
Parallel convergence not going to be actually occupied as Minji decides not to pull the trigger for that phase dive. Tower, though, being chipped away slowly, and one more push from a minion wave will do enough, and that will expose the inhibitor. You now see the issue with Quinn compositions is if she isn't able to control the bot side or the top side of the map, it can be disaster. You see this major flank maybe coming out, but instead Aussie says, you know what, we're taking towers in mid lane. We're trying to take something off the map and force AHQ to respond. AHQ, though, can easily just rotate and pretty much pick them off if they wish.
And our zero damage concerns are now being alleviated slightly, though, which is where I think Berjaya now have a fighting chance yet again. LDR on both Quinn and the Jhin does mean we have some armor pen to their names, and does mean they are dishing out the DPS. But can they move in range to even pump that out? If the Olaf is big, if the Shockwave is there, if the Ashe can trade back reliably thanks to her defensive itemization. Now 4 items in pocket for Wako, it does mean that AHQ firmly in control of these fights. Doesn't matter how doomed the early game was, because you're now in your late game win condition comfort zone.
Yes, Sarah, heavy engage, and they're able to catch out Delulu. And oh no. Do we get ourselves a bit of a quick pause? So we're going to be coming back to our analyst desk alongside Cabbage to get a quick kind of check-in with you. Cabbage, this game, like, it's been a bit chaotic to say the very least.
Yes, true. I think Berjaya missed their windows of opportunity where they could have just tried to force Renekton to TP in when AHQ was at their deficit, so that like with that much deficit, AHQ is forced to like play a 4v5, and then that window of opportunity could have given to Quinn to like destroy as much turrets as possible. But instead, Berjaya opted into play a 5v5. Then it just take away their windows of opportunity for Quinn to like take away the Nexus inhibitor and then try to use it to threaten AHQ to like defend Quinn all the time, while Berjaya tried to take all neutral objectives.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of been the thing we're missing. Like, this Quinn was able to get rather huge at the beginning part of this game, but we haven't just seen that natural pressure that comes out of her once she's able to break one of these inhibitor towers. And you're now, what, sitting at 35 minutes, and you're still trying to knock on the door, where Civ has been able to get himself 4, you know, the armor items and is able to beef up this Renekton to a point that he can at least clear out the wave and then reset back to base.
Yeah, definitely here, where you are kind of seeing that default into the 5-5 kind of mentality, again, just being a series of throws, whether it's 50-50ing around these neutral objectives with a better setup from the side of AHQ, whether it's not aggressively fishing for picks. This Berjaya comp thrives in chaos. It thrives in just finding these micro skirmishes, these separate fights. But if you cluster into an AoE against Orianna, Ashe with Runons, just you're getting AoE down, you're getting stomped, and again, just seeing Ziv actually masterfully throw out the empowered stuns onto an Echo who can ult, onto a Tahm Kench who can devour. Really, really nice, good coordinated burst priority from the side of AHQ.
Well, I got some news. Gents, we are going to go ahead and take a short break. It looks like we do actually have a tech pause, so our referees in league operations are going to go ahead and try and investigate the issue, and we'll see. It looks like there might have been a claim of possible lag over on Delulu, hence why he was getting caught out. So from there, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the conclusion of our 4th game, and we'll see whether or not Berjaya Dragons are able to tie up this series and force a Game 5, or if HQ can actually close things out and close it out here on Game 4.
大家 Dragons， 我是中路猫安，
我是 ADK2，
我是上路阿志，我是辅助独露露，
我是中路敏智，
我是打野 Enso。那我们开始吧。Do you know me？
之前有几位有拍过我们的同理心嘛，对不对？然后就知道我们有惩罚，但是你们是不是都觉得有惩罚就没有奖品是很不合理的呢？
没有。
最赢的人有奖品，但最输的人一样有惩罚。
好。
准备好了吗？
哦好，请问我在春季赛第一支使用的英雄是什么？
小猫安，库奇，
答对了。
好厉害哦！
我乱猜，都没来看比赛。
来那个打，
真的可以猜对，
真的。你怎么知道什么？
我乱猜了。
我在春季季后赛的击杀参与率为多少？
小猫安，87%。
50到87%。69%到
小猫安，
等下，69%到78%。
哎，
你先。
68%。
我说69%到71%。
小猫安
69到71%。你说
70%。
69到70%。
血班69。
69到69到70%，69.6，69%到70%。啊？好，
不是，我都点减猫安，
那你
到底是几趴？减猫安69.5%，
答对了。
所以是他的提示还不是0到87，是50到87。
在干嘛？
在干嘛呀？
就是你，
肯定是我那么懂你，快一点。
看着我自己。好，
啊，对啊。
你是香港人吗？
对。
你要让他们用广东话念的名字。
广东话。
好啊，
你叫一下。哎，怎么叫？
逻辑给。
好，
第一题 ，K2 在第一场 PCS 比赛选用了伊泽，请问这一场 K2 用了哪个伊泽威尔的造型？
逻辑 TPA 伊泽瑞尔，
不是，
逻辑麦冲我一点，
不是，
勘探专家，
不是，
足球先生。
答对了。
就乱讲。
第二题的问题是 K2 在季后赛里面最强玩的英雄是？
逻辑伊泽瑞尔，
不是，
郝英姐，
不是，
法洛士，
答对了。
嗯哼。
你说所有
挂机的，作弊。
那个右边这边在挂我，在挂我。
他突然不记得我名字。
好，那换阿志。
春季季后赛，其中2场玩了蓝宝，蓝宝胜率为黄志，重新好，黄志，独50%，错，3、2、1，黄志，好像是独鲁先吧？是啊，是我吗？100%，
0%，
对
0%都拿出来讲，
他真的0%，我真的记得是0%。
拿这个0%，对啊，怎么拿？
我忘记拿2场可以了。
你在看得起他，你太看得起他了。我在 PCS 第一场比赛中对上了 RSG， 我在上对到的角色是，我在上路对到的角色黄志，赛特，
黄志，
错，
手卡卡，
对啊，
阿文打手卡，
他换完了吗？
对啊。
请问 Enso 在春季季后赛总共拿了几颗人头
18
到28， 21，18到21。
两错，
他现在
19。
好的，对了，
我要出事。
我拿那么多颗头，
对，
都被你抢光，
都被抢了，给他投。
第二题，春季赛中，恩硕第一次吃到巴龙是对上谁的比赛？
你要说 RSG，
不是，
梁硕 ，J Team
答对了。为什么你知道是 J Team？
作弊。
哇
你，是有剧本？
有看题目
你是写好剧本？
我怎么知道为什么？
读录。哎，读录没用哎，完了。
赌露露的 Facebook 与退学大头照动作是什么？比什么动作？
猜猜。
我猜什么？好，看你。
耶，
对，
再一次。
还蛮像的。
人家可是位置不对啊。
哎，对，另外一只手
所以这样不算吗？
不算。好，猜人。杨文硕。
太快了吧！
OK，对了。他这种事，
他这种呢？
请问独露露在 PCS 春季赛中共打过几场比赛？杨文硕
1场。
黄上是
3场。
错
4场。
对，
有那么多场？
你不是
我自己也不知道。
好，开始哦。第一题，请问我在春季例行赛中，我的总击杀数为？
你不会？31、
31到50。
34、
30。
35、
你先35到30。
你不会？36。
对。
有一个，
这超简单的，你准备好？好。
你不会？
好，你直接讲。
阿卡丽
错，你不会？直接讲。老一，
不要闹。
哦，这样可以吧？不行吗？啊，
有点过分的。
不行，
你还没讲题目哎。
快点题目讲完。请问我在 PCS 中第一次拿到 MVP？你不会？有人说。可以了吧？
红分的举手。所以你们是不是对队友不太了解啊？
真的。
最新的，
最近才刚来的。
真的。
这都是战绩的，我们是对生活上。
哎，我那个页不公平，我那个页有争议。
所以我们奖品就给嘟嘟了哦。
啊，谢谢。
奖品是什么？
打开来看吧。
在这边打开吗？
可以。
是一个证。
哇哦，是秀泰影城团体电影优惠券呢。
你就这边有给我，
恭喜啊！
可是我有6个队友哎。
再给一张。
你有没有想过，是我们5个啊？你本人没有啊？
你拿这场比赛就够了。
真的啊，流浪有没有就够了？谢谢。
那我们一人1张。好 ，OK，一人1张。我会留着你的好的。
最低的。
出来吧。
先把票交出来再去惩罚。
你们要疯狂黑白菜还是要加菜？
疯狂黑白菜。
好，
红黑白菜。
超不会玩的。
好，
包5啦，职业选手都打包5。
真的包5。黑白菜，男生的配。黑白菜，男生的配。
不要。
往下比，
黑白菜，黑白菜，男生的配。
来，抽一，
白菜，
男生女生配，
黑白菜，男生的配，
黑白菜，
男生的配。啊！有了吗？这样有了吗？黑白菜，男生女生配，黑白菜，男生女生配。
刚刚这一拳是不算。
不算，分数胜。
好，
好，0-0开始。
好，2比0。赢不了哎。
黑白菜，
男生女生配。2比1。
黑白菜，
男生女生配。
黑白菜，
男生女生配。完了，出色。
黑白菜，男生女生配。
完了。
惩罚是什么？
敏智。
如果今天只有一间浴室，但时间紧迫，你只能同时和2位队友一起洗澡，你会选择谁？
恩说红上肢。
为什么？
我就想看啊，我就想看。
什么？完了。
那你们想跟他一起洗澡吗？
我们也一样的窘境吗？我想，
还不错啊，想啊。
我想，没问题吧？
怎么要这样？我为什么跳舞？
对，柔一的，OK 吧？跳绳啊！
我没有跳绳，
假装就好了。
假装就好了。
不行啊！好了吧，够了吧？
够了。
新的赛季，请为 BJD 继续加油，
持续关注 PCS 粉丝团，
按起小铃铛，
拜拜。
今天我们要来录就你最浮夸，我就看你多浮夸。
非常熟吗？
很熟啊，高雄人怎么能不熟？
那有没有心情可以开队的？
可以啊，我知道他一定会接管。
你又知道了，
他的话肯定很恶心啊。
那我猜不到怎么办？
你的智商我能同意。
你再说一次。
你的智商我能理解。
你再说一次。
你直接还你了。
第一个，人帅，长得又高，打游戏又强，每年拿冠军。要是能重来，我要当家强。虽然走路会低油，可是不影响我对他的崇拜，就像是夜空中的萤火虫一般，那么耀眼。
这肯定观众写的啊。
第二个，即便赛区合并电狼解散，狼魂依旧不灭总决赛。中山拼尽全力，连1/5个电狼还是打不赢狼王，带领塔隆获得总冠军。
这个也是观众写的。
第三个，安娜碧眼镜歪掉，怎么可以这么帅？简直是新一代时尚潮流之父。
这个就是你写的。
塔隆能够招揽到这么厉害的上路太原，真是太棒了。没想到泰国也有这么厉害的上路选手。
这个就是他写的。第一个 PCS 法色怪物 ，Wako 的 AD 真的很风骚。虽然现在版本的 AD 很卑微，但每次在场上操作的时候还是非常有影响力。希望之后能在 PCS 打出一片天，拿到世界赛的门票，打出自己的生涯代表作。
哎，这一定不是你写的，不可能，不可能。
第二个 ，Wako 的单人线竞争力实在没话说，跟他百变的发色一样狂野，每次的访问影片都尬到笑，是个很做自己的人。第三个 ，Wako 你的头发真的太帅了，可能是因为你顶着这个头才这么猛，下次也要跟你染一样的。
都不像你说的很多啊，什么东西？
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ourselves set, locked, and loaded. As Civ right now, hungry crocodile, looking to hunt down Ozzy, and that is how you start back off a pause. Welcome back to the action, and Elder Drake secured by AHQ.
Yeah, they get the pick, they get the Drake, they get the 1v1 isolated kill, everything going by way of HQ now that they've crested that 30-minute mark. Out of the bad early game, out of the bad mid game, into a fantastic late game. The team fights will just go their way. Brute Force one more 5v5, and the game, series, and potential world's birth is all yours for the taking, AHQ.
And there we are. So, looks like our pause has been sorted out, obviously, as they were able to fix up whatever lag there was. And now, AHQ, Elder Drake in hand, Wako in the bot side, pushing away. And that main point that you were supposed to have on the side of Berjaya Dragons, having this quit, having this heavy aggression coming out from Delulu, brings in Enzo into the fight. In comes, though, that volley bear ultimate to try and disengage. Not going to happen, though. Wako flashing on forward on this Ashe, able to find the slow onto multiple members. Delulu gets hooked back on in, and unfortunately, any Cinderella story for Berjaya Dragons may come to an end here and now as AHQ looking to start knocking on toward Nexus Towers.
Yeah, Uniboy TPing to that mid wave was all we needed to know that AHQ had their eyes on the prize, wanted to go for the end, wanted to go for the ultimate. They got Elder wide and they go for it!
Yazera just jumps in, able to get that flash dredge line. Minji trying to hold what he can of the base. Civ with his GA available though. And Ozzy, well, he's on the outside of the tower, unfortunately here. That's another pause.
Okay. To be fair, he's chilling at the top lane in here, but it did look kind of suspect when they just started looking at each other. And yeah, that pause from before, actually, I had my doubts when we just got back into the same game state, but as it turns out, there may very well actually be some issues here.
Well, Cabbage, welcome back here. Is another quick pause, it seems. It seems like they want to try and get you in as much death time as they can. Now we see the game state as Ozzy getting solo killed by the Renekton he was supposed to shut down, and now you have the Elder Drake online for AHQ. You're already telling me the chances were rather slim for Berjaya to come back in this game. I don't see any way they actually do come back outside of AHQ diving Fountain.
Yeah, that's true, because with a comp that Berjaya has opted into, their chance of winning is through trying to make a cross-map play and then allow Quinn to like be on the opposite side of the map and try to knock down as much turrets as possible, and then use that threat of the super minions going into your Nexus turret as the key for them to play around cross maps. For example, like they can just use the super minions pushing inside of the enemy base to like take Baron or like to take dragons. But then Berjaya have this mentality of trying to like default to 5v5 matchup when they already built their comps around trying to split push. It just destroys the game dynamic for them.
Yeah, and actually speaking of cross-map play, I do want to actually touch on Berjaya's split map earlier, where they just completely decimated that top side, largely through the twin pressure. And that's what we wanted to see from AHQ. Whenever they draft this Renekton, do that. Split the map and play through Ziv in that top lane.
Yeah, so we're getting a little bit of the replay action that we actually missed out during the last pause there, and getting a little bit more context on how Ziv, does he just run down? He just runs down. I think. This is a replay, so don't worry.
Yes. Go, Cabbage. Analyze it.
Well,
I don't think there's much to say.
Tell me more, Cabbage.
We're like, at this point where Renekton already built Thornmill and Brandon, I don't see a chance where Quinn would kill him. Especially when he already also have Guardian up. And she just like took 2 or 3 turrets hit. And then, yeah, that's already a throw for
Kinda
Quinn.
doomed, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit doomed, all right? That inhibitor tower, which he hasn't been able to take for the last, 30 minutes of this game? Which we've kind of expected, hey, this Quinn is supposed to be opening up the map. It just didn't translate, and I find it so interesting here, because you even mentioned us during the break that, like, the last time HQ went up against, like, a Quinn, it was actually up against PSG, and it was remarkably the same, where it just felt like it didn't do anything, and it feels like this matchup just doesn't get exploited enough when they're played up against AHQ.
Your boy Leaky was a rock on that Renekton that time, and this time Ziv actually let the game slip out of his hands early. That being said though, again, I want to praise Berjaya's early game here, where they split the map, they played it beautifully, they even traded a Drake back so that the 25-minute stall wasn't a possibility. Did fumble a little bit after that though, of course, opting into many 5v5s they shouldn't have. But I think HQ definitely, even if they do close this one out 3-1, have a lot to learn from this series. They can take away a lot of issues with their early game and hopefully adapt when it comes to the bigger, better, more important games of their world's career come next week.
Well, I got some information for you guys. We are going to go ahead and take another short break, and hopefully when we come back we have a final decision. Currently, League Operations internally vetting what exactly is happening with Berjaya Dragons, and if there is a comparable chance that they are able to actually get back into this matchup up against AHQ. So, we'll be right back after this short break. How about we get to know a little bit more, though, of AHQ as they look to close out this series.
大家好，
我们是 AHQ。
那今天的节目准备开始哦。Do you know me？ 他抖音不会变坏。
现在像惩罚吗？
有些行，那奖品呢？
那我们尽量不让你们做什么福利提升之类的，是没有这个。
那就是羞耻，
他就是羞耻度。
先开始吧，挖口。
挖口在春季赛打了33场比赛，请问挖口在整个春季赛总共拿了几个人头？举手啊！
这是
几个人头？
终极密码吗？
再高一点，
还高一点。
讲
几场？33场，169好了。
这有那么多啦？
哦，没那么多。
0到169。
对啊，帮我
讲
84。
对哦。
0到84。
对啊，80。
80到84。
对啊，我说了。来，快拳，来拳。来，剪刀石头布。出去了。
在那边嬉皮笑脸，先出去啊！快点啊！
剪刀石头布。出去啊！还不是一样
？OK， 80到84，对不对？
你只有一次机会了，答错就换他们了。
82吧。
真的假的？真假的？
为什么要踢？看有没有算？
你33场才82杀，
怎么可能？
怎么才82杀？很多了好不好？你当对面都
33场呢？
我是那个运营型玩家。
我帮你想太好，我算
33场
100。
闭嘴！第二题，请问我在 PCS 最后一场比赛中吃了几支兵？举手。
周洋
说。
153。
你们最好那么少啊！
周洋，
这么大。
说。
456。
369到45685。
周洋，我先，
你先。
37周洋。不是，大家都有意见就只能猜拳了。
猜拳了呀！记住了。
摇手不？
哎，你跟我什么？
摇手不？
多少
377到385，快
！382，周洋。
377到38，
周洋。
啊，剩我们4个。
哎，对，382到385。
382到385，
三两个数字啊，
这2个数字。哎，周洋，周洋，好嘛，哪个有公面嘛？
你先。
383，
耶！
为什么啊？
位置。
来，第一题，以色拉在春季季后赛的 KDA 为2.3，请问以色拉在春季赛中总共有几次助攻？
黄宗志，
哎。
600个
，600个，0到600。好，升上去。
哎，900。
什么0到
600？400。
数学系
300完全可以来了。
452。
0到400。
黄志，
可以。
215。
0到215。
黄同志242。
0到240。
你也是可以。讲的都数学博士。
200，我刚刚记得250。200
0到200。
黄宗志，
那个最快，现在有最快。
你刚刚应该换我吧？
啊，对，刚刚应该
要我先。
158。158。我帮你机会来大，双击点。就你了。161。
黄宗志。
再大双击点。你喊的好大声啊！就你啦。159。王正。
黄宗志。
开始了，最后一个数字了，我们都知道啊。
159到什么？
这意思。
好，我
反正我也不知道数字。
剪刀石头布。好，剪刀石头布。加速布。
脚步。160。
没错。
放下的石头。
PCS。
我累了。
第二题，
黄宗志。
在春季赛中，第一场比赛是2月29打 CT， 那第一次得到 MVP 是对上哪个队？
你吗？
黄志。
对，是我。王志。哎，陈毅。3、2、
等下
1，
BJD。
错。
黄志。
AHQ。
错。
黄宗志。Berjaya。
错。黄宗志。我很公平吧？你们按照顺序来吧。我发现现在没有脏的人有点少。
没事，我等下就选你。
后面换位置。你的本名是？
肖任佐。是哦。
好，我知道。我现在知道了。
第一题是我在季后赛打了15场比赛，请问季后赛的总击杀数为？
好，小任佐。
这种问题就是后面那句。
对，这种问题，然后不当第一个，还没学乖。不是你要讲答案啊，你已经31。
哎，中了。
先猜就。
哇，你们太懒了。
真的假的？
啊，这个一猜就对是谁？
我操！
无言人，谢谢。
哇，这有多题，我觉得
这有内鬼啊！
这题有问题。
你们是说我跟 A 确实串通好吗？
你讲什么？
他讲的。
你说的啊？
哪来的灵感？
怎么可能？
乱猜啊！
第二题，春季赛中第一场比赛使用的英雄为？
小任佐。
加手部，这题太简单了，加手部。
简单吗？
太简单了。
吗？
答案怎么我也不知道。
我也不知道。
其实我也不知道。
加手部。
哎，讲。
雷克萨。
中了。
好准哦！答案不会是李欣啊？
对啊。
答案一定是李欣啊。
那个 Z 跟那个缺乏的问题。
我第一题是，请问我在春季赛第一场比赛中，第一个用的角色是谁？
陈毅，
我好像有点难选，那先选你好了。
雷尼克顿，
耶！
这是什么问题？
这是什么问题吗？
这是什么问题？
这是什么问题？
第二题，请问我在春季季后赛中胜率最高的英雄为？
陈毅
，Uniboy。
鳄鱼。
错，陈毅，
阿文，
谁造文？
陈毅，
后面它后面还有个数字。
哦，胜率。哎，这个扣分了吧？怎样？怎么了？
好，先给你回答。
英雄布丁热62%，错。
陈毅，
你没有讲话哎，我举爽。
你也讲吧，100。
对，
你没输过，到90几，你没输过，啊，没输过，输
哎，天时一人一半啦，
是一半啦，
哎，一半，为什么？我2啊，
他自己说
你就贴这样啊，贴这样啊。
那你们脚不能分开哦。
啊，我是。还是要恶心人家半点，
我好不容易旗鼓相当了，
至少你还有一半。
换你了，这样我也不会输一点的人。
第一题是在 PCS 赛季中总共打了4场比赛，总共玩过哪3场？
薛家伟，我先了，
你最快。
阿奇尔，卡扎比亚，西格斯。
好啦，对了，
对嘛？
算你懂我，
简单啦，
还是赢半点了，小王半点了，好扯哦。
好，第二题，我在之前拍的那个 PCS 节目，什么多点同理心的惩罚，有一个护手霜开饼干，我一共开了几包饼干呢？
谢家伟，
好，我们从这里开始。
但其实你我都没看过，
这样轮下。4
包，
错，不是问护手霜品牌吗？
下一个
3包，
错。
你去，
越来越低了哎，
是不是我拍的？到底是真的还是假的？
对，3包是对的。
哎，奇怪，我不是在隔壁吗？
还是你没去拍？
开个玩笑，看来你赢汪东志了。
没有，他本来就赢我。我现在是2点半。
那个惩罚就留给他吧。
跟过无关。
不是，就是有，你知道吗？这表示等一下如果我对一题，陈昌就下去了，所以你要题目都给我答，陈昌就下去了，
翻盘的机会，你知道吗？
都不要举手，
然后你们3个不要举，哎，真的，你们3个不要举，他就出去了，对不对？
第一题是在春季赛第1场比赛中玩的柔一，这场比赛我出的第1件大装市场。
陈昌哎，干嘛？我不知道哎。
陈毅突然不知道了，
我要出无尽哦。卢登回音，
错。
陈昌君，
陈毅。
GLP 800，
答对了。
啊，没事，做惩罚。
哇，就是看见证友情的时候，各位。
第2题，请问我在这个例行赛中死亡次数总共为多少？
这个太多了，你们也答一下吧。
我先吃了好。
可是我真的不知道哎，怎么办啊
？47次，
再少。
上去，
请说。
38，
再少。
上去。
好，再让你来一次。少。
你这
太少哦，32。
错了。
来，公平竞争，公平竞争。
各位可以竞争了。
陈昌君，
多少次
？14次。
再高。
你答一次。
哎，不用喊名字哦。
陈昌居21，
再低。
交给你们了。
陈昌居
17到21。
陈昌君，我来了，3个数字。
啊，
不要说没给你机会了，我们都给你了。
再给你了，
都给你。
是吧？
好吧，答对了。
你这18次哦，真的假的？不要。
所以这赢的是谁啊？
那他3分，
他3分啊，
半点也能领，
每次都赢，
半点
每次都赢。
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And it looks like our tech issue has been figured out. And just like that, AHQ able to take home the victory. Maybe. I'm not holding my breath just yet. Finally, Ozzy will get taken on down. And Berjaya Dragons, their journey to try and make it to Worlds in their first season comes to an end, as AHQ will send them packing 3-1 final score of the series.
AHQ now one step closer to Worlds. It's not the clear path we kind of paved out for them, but it's still, you know, a convincing case that making it happen. It wasn't clean, it wasn't the kind of level of play we expected from them, but it was still a victory at the end of the day.
Yeah, to say the very least, a chaotic finish there, Cabbage, but in the end, they are able to take home the victory on the side of AHQ, and now sets us up to the simple fact that we are now going to have a loser bracket matchup that has our first 2 seeds in summer actually battling it out, and one of them actually has to watch Worlds from home this year.
Well, if I'm JT right now, then I'm just going to get ready and like exploit AHQ draft right now, because it's not a draft worthy of the second tier, like the second C team from PCS.
Yeah, I think we've kind of all agreed now that we feel like drafting is a major issue when it comes to AHQ, and unfortunately you only have tonight pretty much to try and clear up that drafting, and that doesn't leave you a whole lot of time, Embrace.
Oh.
Just a groan of sadness.
Rest versus Ziv was a matchup I was hyped for. We're always hyped for it. And yet, given the recent performances of both these teams and how they interact around their top laners, it's not really even going to be close, is it? That being said, do you want to take a step back from looking forward towards the future and look at what we've just seen, because Berjaya, despite falling here, made one hell of a case for themselves with a fairly surprising upsurge this playoffs.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a lot of what we saw from Hong Kong Attitude actually last split, where that team came in as one of the bottom seeds and was able to try and fight their way through the lower side bracket and came up 4th. Berjaya, they will fall just a little bit short. They end up tying with Nova at the end overall when it comes to just individual standing, but we can take a look back over the course of this series, and it feels like the ongoing trend that we saw of both of these teams' losses were missed opportunities, missed windows that they were actually stronger and could have easily pushed for a lead, but we never saw it happen.
Yes, for example, just play, if Berjaya just like pulls a gut cover, just let Queen push topside and then try to here, because Berjaya 4-man could have just prevent this dragon. Queen would have just destroy inhibitor, or even touch the first Nexus turret, and then with that they could have just forced AHQ to back off from this dragon. But yeah, missed big opportunity that was missed by Berjaya here.
It was ongoing. It was just repetitive lip that we get to see these words of missed opportunities, missed power spikes, and just not clean play from either side. Somehow Ziv soaking up all that pressure in this lane. Briz, do you disagree?
I mean, credit to him for being all smiles. As you mentioned, he was laughing halfway through the game, despite having been shut out throughout almost every stage of the early game. He did his thing. Nice. Don't know what else to say here, except, okay, that's a surprise.
Hey, thumbs up, the Renekton gotta win, Briz and Cabbage.
That's just going to make them pick it even more, you know?
I know,
that's encouraging them
to... I'm going to drive myself crazy, all right? But, yeah, we kind of have to wonder, too, you know, is AHQ just going to go ahead and run Ziv for the duration of now this playoffs, especially when you're going up against Type J team, which you are running Rest up in that top lane from the opposing side. I feel like you want to see Ziv probably up in that matchup, more of a veteran member of the squad. But overall, I think AHQ, I think the thing they have to take away today is the fact that this was not really a second seed performance. This looked like a mid-pack